you've been doing all this behind my back. You've been collecting human memorabilia. And she's like, Daddy, calm down. And he's just like, nope. So we all remember how unhinged the Little Mermaid was, right? Well, it turns out it gets even more unhinged when told through the lens of my chaotic mind. My daughter forgot what the Little Mermaid was like, so I retold it to her off of my own memory, which I barely remember it myself. The way I remember it is very, very interesting. So today we're going to be drawing Ariel and Eric and listening to my unhinged retelling of The Little Mermaid. Here we go. So there's this bratty little teenager and she likes to collect human things, things that she finds in the ocean. She likes to explore above the water, even though her father explicitly told her not to. She pretty much doesn't listen to her father, who's just trying to protect her. She keeps going to places where she's getting in danger. Like, I think she almost gets attacked by a shark or something at one point, because she's looking in like a shipwrecked ship looking for human things. She almost gets herself and her friend Flounder killed, but she's not even fazed by that. She's like, oh well, sucks to suck. And then she keeps going to like the surface, which she's also not supposed to go there. She goes to the surface of the ocean so she can, watch the humans and stuff and just chill with her friend Scuttle, that he's the bird. And so one day she finds this ship, right? Like, and she's like, oh man, I have to freaking check that out. That looks cool as heck. And she goes up to the ship and she's like, wow, it's like a party up here. Like, there's people dancing and playing music. And she's like, oh, I'm definitely into this. She sees the dog too. She's like, wow, a doggo. But then the doggo runs up to this dude and she's like, oh my god, he's so handsome. She's like, love at first sight, even though I don't know if he has a crappy personality or not. He's just really good looking. And just by luck, his ship freaking crashes and he lands in the ocean. And she's like, today is my lucky day. And then she grabs him and she saves him and brings him onto the shore. She brings him onto the shore. He's totally unconscious and his abs are poking through his shirt. And she's like, I want to sing right now. This is awesome. And then she starts singing. And then he's like slowly coming back into consciousness. And he sees her, but he's not fully conscious yet. And then she hears his people looking for him. And she's like, oh snap, got a blast. And she goes back into the ocean. And then when he finally comes to consciousness, he's like, oh my god, who's that girl who's singing? Like, she saved my life. And then his people are like, yeah, you're crazy. Let's get you back to the castle, your princeliness. Yeah, so he pretty much becomes obsessed with, her voice and stuff. It honestly seems like he cares more about her voice than he cares about her. And she goes back into the ocean. She's like, oh my god, I love this dude so much. Oh, and somehow I think her friend Flounder brought the statue of the prince into her grotto where she keeps all her human things. God knows how he did that, because
he is just a fish. That could have crushed him and turned him into like fish sticks.
That's just a fish. How did he move that huge solid rock statue into the grotto? Or did it just fall there by chance? Like, she keeps getting lucky here, okay? But then her luck runs out because her father walks. This scene was so cringe. Okay, not only does her father find out that she has this statue and all this human stuff, he swims in to the grotto while she's talking to the statue and pretending it's real. She was just gonna leave it at that, okay? She was just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna pretend with the statue. But if her father wouldn't have freaking gone off on her for playing pretend, this whole situation wouldn't have happened. So yeah, it was super embarrassing. He catches her talking to the statue and he gets pissed off because as we find out in the third Little Mermaid movie, it turns out that her mother was killed by humans. So he's like, you've been doing all this behind my back. You've been collecting human memorabilia. And she's like, Daddy, calm down. And he's just like, nope. And he brings out this giant fork and he starts zapping everything. She's like, this is what I wish I could do to the humans that killed your mom. But he doesn't say that. He's just thinking that. He's like, you get a zap. You get a zap. You get a zap. You all get zaps. And she's like, Daddy, no.
Daddy, no.
Yeah. He destroys all of her property, which, that's really violent. That's almost like going into domestic violence territory, if you ask me. And, of course, after, your parent destroys your collection for, like, no reason of your cool stuff, in a rage, then you think, oh, my parent doesn't love me. My parent is the enemy. And so, of course, this makes Ariel want to rebel. If her father was a little smarter, he wouldn't have done this. But, he's got anger issues. He needs anger management. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, he just destroys everything, swims out, leaves, and she's just sitting there crying. You can't tell because, her tears are blending in with the ocean. But she's definitely crying and just looking at all her broken stuff. And then she's like, I think what happens is Ursula sees all this happening in her crystal ball or whatever, and then she sends her gross eel henchman to go convince Ariel to come to her. And then they do. They tell her, oh yeah, girlfriend, we know that you love the prince and he could love you too, but you just gotta become a human first. And Ursula the sea witch, she can totally help you do that. Ariel's like, you know what? I thought my dad was good, but it actually turns out he's evil. Let me just go to the evil sea witch and see if she's actually good. And then she goes to the sea witch, and the sea witch breaks out into like this song, which was actually really kind of good, by the way. It felt like something from, Broadway. And she goes singing about how she makes deals with people, oh, you give me this and then I'll magically give you whatever you want. She even shows a little replay magic video thing where she turns a guy who wants to get a girlfriend super buff, and he turns a girl who wants to be thinner thin because she's overweight, and then she makes her thinner, and the two fall in love. And then she's like, now it's happened once or twice. Someone couldn't pay the price and something like that. And then she shows that she turns them from their new selves into these worm-like gross creatures that pop out of the ground or something. And she's like, yeah, other than that, I've been a saint. She says something like that in the song. And then as she's finishing the song in her grand performance, she's like, now sing. And then Ariel starts singing, and everything, all her voice turns golden, and it goes into Ursula's shell, and Ursula's over here literally doing an evil laugh. It's okay, you say you turn people into worms, then you do the evil laugh. You're really not being that convincing that you're a good person. And so you see this magical transformation where Ariel's turning into a human, and it looks all kind of cool and magical, but kind of eerie too. I think everything looks golden. I don't remember the movie that well, to be honest. That's just what it looks like in my mind. And then as Ursula's still evil laughing, Ariel can't breathe. Ursula doesn't care that they're at the bottom of the ocean and she's human and she can't breathe. She's just over here evil laughing, ha ha, I got the voice. And Ariel's oxygen, air, I need it now. And then her friends, I think the crab, Sebastian, and the fish flounder, they help push her up to the surface so she doesn't die. If they hadn't have done that, I think Ariel might have been toast in that moment, to be honest, because Ursula certainly wasn't going to help her. And then, so what ends up happening is she's like chilling at the top of the water. Like, I think she's sitting on like rocks or something. And she's chilling with her friends, Sebastian and Flounder and Scuttle the bird. And she's like, yeah, I can't talk or whatever. But, look, I got these cool feetsies. Look at these wiggly toes. And, the crab is just going off. He's like, Ariel, what have you done? Your father is going to kill me, blah, 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 blah. And she's just like, who cares? I'm human now. And Scuttle, he's like, girl, I'm going to make you fabulous for the prince. And he like grabs some sort of fabric. What were the odds that he was gonna find fabric? Okay, she's over here naked on the beach. What are the odds he's gonna find fabric? He finds this white fabric and some rope. What are the odds of him finding that too? And he makes her a dress. So then she's like posing in her new dress, and Scuttle's like, yes, queen, you look fabulous. And she's like, yeah, okay, it's time to find the prince. And then she gets lucky again. She's just having all the luck in this movie. The prince is walking on the beach, and I think he's like literally like looking for her because he's obsessing over her voice for some reason. And he sees her and he's like, oh my god, is it really you? And she's like nodding like, yeah, it's me. But then like when he finds out that like she can't talk, he's like, oh, never mind. It can't be you. It's like, excuse me, Prince Eric. Maybe she has strep throat. Ever think of that? And all he cares about is the voice. He doesn't care about the person. Anyways, so he brings her back to the castle and he gets her all cleaned up and he gets her pretty dresses, and his homies are pretty much telling him like, yeah, I know you're obsessed with this mystery girl who saved you, but you got this other girl right here and she could be the one. That's what they're implying. And then he's like, yeah, maybe you're right. And so they like go on dates and stuff, and Ursula's henchmen, they keep like sabotaging their dates so that they don't kiss, because as you know in the movie, she only succeeds and stays human if she can get the prince to kiss her, which is very strange. That's a very strange deal, but whatever. Movie logic. And then all of a sudden one day she wakes up and he's in love with someone else, some girl with dark hair, and he thinks that this is the girl who saved him. I don't know how much of it is the spell or just his obsession with the voice, just, you know, him being dumb. But yeah, supposedly he's under some sort of spell from Ursula, and the dark hair girl is Ursula. And so yeah, that's like just devastating for Ariel when she sees that, oh yeah, the prince, he's suddenly in love with this other girl, and not only is he in love with her, he's getting married to her, okay? She just wakes up after their dates and then finds out he's getting married to someone else. The audacity. And then, but right before the wedding, Scuttle sees the dark-haired girl singing in the mirror, and for some reason it shows Ursula in the mirror. I don't think this would have happened in real life, even if magic was real. I don't think she would have turned into Ursula in the mirror. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. That just feels too lucky that she turned into Ursula in the mirror, and Scuttle happens to see her at that moment. He was like, ooh, I'm telling. And then he goes and he sabotages the wedding, and Ursula turns back into Ursula, and she grabs Ariel and she like takes her back into the ocean, because Ariel turns back into a mermaid like right in front of Prince Eric, and he's like, what? And yeah, she drags her back into the ocean, and she tells King Triton like, hey, I got your daughter, and if you don't give me the trident, then I'm gonna turn her into a worm person or something. And so he's like, fine. So she gets the trident from him, and then she turns giant, and she tries to fork everyone with the giant fork, and she's like wearing the crown. She's like, yeah, I'm the queen, I'm the biggest, I'm the evilest, slay. And then somehow Prince Eric is able to stab her with his ship, and then she's defeated. Like, that's also freaking lucky. That would never happen in real life. Like, how did the human just shank her with his boat? Like, and she was huge. Like, even if she did get...
Wait, so they killed her?
Yeah, even if she did get poked with the boat, like, I don't think she would have died. I don't know. Maybe I have to rewatch the movie. This is just my fuzzy reaccount of what happened in the movie. Yeah. So after Ursula's defeated, somehow Eric ends up on shore again. He likes to be unconscious on the shore. That's his thing. That's his thing. And like somehow Ariel and her father are just like sitting there staring at him. And all of a sudden, after all this mess, then her father has a change of heart out of nowhere. Talk about lucky. He's like, she really does love him, doesn't she? And it's like, bipolar much? Bipolar much? Like, why do you suddenly care if she loves him or not? I don't know. The whole thing's just weird. And then he turns her into a human. So, like, he pretty much suddenly has a complete change of heart for no reason. And then allows his daughter, who's like 14 or 15, I think, maybe 16 the most. She's only a teenager, by the way. And he just gives her legs and he's like, go, be free. Oh, and not only does he give her legs, but he gives her this killer sparkly dress. He's like, you thought that Scuttle had fashion skills? Watch this. And he gives her this crazy sparkly Winx cord looking dress. And she goes up to Eric like, yes, we can finally be together, even though you were just about to marry someone else. Like, I'm ready. I'm going to just be a human now. I don't care what it takes. I'm just gonna be a human and be your wife, even though we barely know each other. And then they get married and they live happily ever after. The end. Until the second movie. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope I get to see you again soon. Bye!